Hi, and welcome to episode number 12 of the Groomer Next Door. I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me is Sarah.
Hello.
And we have a special guest tonight sitting with us, our daughter, Claire.
Hi!
All right, guys. Well, before we start, we're actually recording on our new device. We're going to see how this works tonight, so hopefully it works out well. As always, we always like to start with the special thanks to all of our listeners who are making us continue to do what we're doing. But we've also had a couple great additions to us. Special thanks to Dogs Know on Facebook. They shared what I had submitted to them, and they were just awesome and great supporters. And locally, I'd like to thank Phelps County Animal Welfare League. They also have gotten behind us, and it's a very big honor to have both of you supporting us. And of course, as always, Carrie with Animal Love Pass the Word on Facebook. You've also been a great addition to us. And finally, one of our listeners, she Facebook messages me. She gives a great deal of support to our show, and her name is Lisa. I won't give her last name because I don't want to actually take too much of her personal life out, but Lisa, you've been great to us, and we appreciate everything. So, what are we talking about tonight, Sarah?
Well, since last episode was kind of a doggy downer, and we were kind of agitated, I was hoping to make this one more fun stories, different things that have happened to me in the past, and luckily it hasn't happened to me lately. But a lot of great stories, and in that stories will definitely help understand what your groomer goes through. When you do take your dog to the groomer, it's not a glorious job. It's very dirty. It can get very gross. So I want to bring some stories to light on what happened to me.
And they're funny stories.
Yeah, they're funny. I'll carry them around lifetime. I don't care how embarrassing it was at the moment. They're still funny. And, want to share it with people. Make people laugh. Hopefully make somebody smile.
And of course, like always, we're recording at Studio MCD, so it was very quiet here just a moment ago, but all of a sudden we just decided to get a couple people who wanted to be very loud.
Yes, honey, you can. Since there aren't any kids playing in the play place, our daughter's kind of hanging out with us and coloring, so you might hear her interjecting every once in a while, but that's what happens. Parents and very limited time to do anything.
And unfortunately, your mom is sick, so it's not like we can actually just say, off to go do another podcast. Bye.
Have fun with Grandma.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Or it's going, really, because
Yes.
Claire, since she was like 2 years old,
Not even. It was like one.
Yeah, called Grandma Going. So, anywho, anything else you wanted to
No,
add in?
Let's jump on in.
Okay. Well, let's start right in on it. When you bring your dog in, I'm talking to the people who have neutered or unneutered dogs. So you have a dog that's fully intact. It can get kind of difficult for a few different things. When you have a dog that's not neutered, we have incidents. Thank you. Like what happened to our new adoptive Chihuahua, Belle.
Her name is Belle Grande. So just so anybody thinks that we're doing a Twilight thing, this isn't a Belle or Bella or Belle from Sleeping Beauty, or not Sleeping Beauty, I'm sorry, Beauty and the Beast. I almost could lose my Disney license for that one.
Anywho, we put Belle in one of the cages, and then next to her, I put a Schnauzer. And I didn't quite read on the paper that he was an intact male. And I go to take Belle out for a walk, since she was in there for about an hour. I was like, time to take her for a walk. And I look in the kennel, and she's tap dancing in the Schnauzer's pee. Everywhere. The Schnauzer decided to mark our little Bella. Belle, excuse me.
I do not want Twilight associated with my dog. Okay. Sorry, folks.
I like Twilight. Thank you very much.
Here's the debate of it all. See, this is going to be that upbeat banter that we typically go on. Our show is not about some false, facade. We are like this all the time.
Bicker back and forth. Anywho, so Belle had this big old wet spot on her back end. I was like, oh my gosh. My poor baby just got peed on. We've only had her for like 3 days, right? So I ended up having to...
4 days.
We ended up rewashing her again. And I ended up having to put this intact male in an enclosed crate. An enclosed crate to me is the ones that you use when you take your dog somewhere to... like the vet.
A travel crate.
Yeah, like a pet taxi.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good word.
That's big enough for the dog so it's not squished into something small. We have a few of those because this has happened before. Another thing about grooming an intact male is the lovely humping in the air. Some intact males do it, some don't. Some of them act like they're neutered. They're very tamed and they got their hormones under control, so to speak. So sometimes you're sitting there grooming and the dog decides to just want to go at the wall. Your arm, the grooming bar, your back if you turn it. So groomers have to deal with that too. And it's not very fun. A lot of neutered or unneutered dogs, intact dogs, love sniffing since they want to smell everything. They want to mark everything. You can go and reach for your brush that's next to you, turn your head for 2 seconds, and you look back, and the dog just marked all over your table. So then you got to get the cleaning product or the cleaning stuff. We use Lysol. Paper towels, you gotta move the dog off the table, you gotta make sure he didn't get on himself, clean your table off, and then do it again, and try to hold him while you're getting whatever you need so he doesn't do it again. They don't like to stay focused. Some of them, it's very hard to stay focused when they're intact.
And majority of women who are watching or listening to this right now are saying their husbands are very much like that.
Oh gosh.
Sorry, I know how women work. So if any woman is thinking, "Boy, that just sounds like my husband," well,
Carrie might appreciate that comment.
Maybe.
But they tend to not want to focus. They want to see what's going on. They're the protector. They got their gonads.
Do I have to say it again? This sounds like your husband?
Another thing they do, they like to lick. Some of them lick profusely. My buddy Jeff out in California, I think now he's in Virginia. But when we groomed together, he was, basically my mentor. I wanted to be like Jeff. Jeff was just an amazing groomer. But he used to make a joke. Every time a dog was licking, they lick slowly as they're staring at you in your eyes. And there's just a slow lick. It's creepy. Imagine your dog staring at you dead in your eyes, just slowly licking. Jeff would say, that dog's tenderizing you. So, and then the next best part, they're very sensitive about their man parts.
Again, I say, if this sounds like your husband.
So when you're trying to shave their man parts, so they don't look as bushy, so they don't look like bushy, Cadbury eggs hanging from their back end. So you want to kind of trim them up so they look relatively alright. They get very offended. Who knew? But yeah, they get very offended. I'm not sure if you've seen any of that yet.
I haven't actually had the luxury yet of that. Closest thing I've had was today, actually, squeezing some anal glands. Something I said we wouldn't talk much about on the show, but squeezing some anal glands, the dog decides to sit down, and as I lift it up, as I'm giving it a bath, I lift it up, and a Cadbury egg was underneath it, which I refer to a Cadbury egg as a big nugget of poop. So that's as close. I normally don't get the other side of it. I usually just get the poop.
So Yeah, you haven't had this. This is an ultimate unneutered dog story. So this is probably about 3 years into my grooming career. I was grooming a flat-coated retriever. For those of you that are not quite familiar with flat-coated retrievers, if you take a golden retriever and turn it all black, you're kind of in the right direction. There are some other differences, obviously, but I was shaving down, flat-coated retriever. I was almost done, and I got down on my knees to trim his feet, since he didn't like me holding his paws. Okay, you gotta work around the dog. So I'm brushing the hair up in between his toes, so I can scissor in between his toes. And this was during a holiday, so I had pigtails in. And, okay, remember folks, this is back when I was 20, okay? So I was young, and that was cool at the time.
Let me tell you, she still wears pigtails, and she's a little bit older than that. So let's not anybody believe that she's actually matured much, because I haven't.
So I had bows in my hair. You know, I was really rocking this holiday. I forgot which one it was. And this flat-coated retriever decides...
National Hat Day, probably.
This flat-coated retriever decides to grab my pigtail in his mouth. So he's got half my hair in his mouth. And he starts shaking my head, but not violently, luckily. It was just kind of moving a little bit back and forth. And I looked over, and he kind of came out. His men parts were making an appearance. And he started humping the air. I'm yelling for help because I didn't know what was going to happen. I'm embarrassed at this point. The owners are looking, because at the time we had windows on all four sides of the salon so everybody could see. And it was a busy day in the salon, so there was a ton of people watching. And I'm yelling for help. I look over at my buddy Jeff, and Jeff drops his scissors, cracking up laughing at me. And I'm looking over, I'm trying to look over to my left, and I'm trying to look at the groomer behind me. She's laughing. My manager was laughing. The owner of the dog was absolutely mortified.
Now let's put it to you this way. We're talking about 8 years ago that this went on. This is really before YouTube and camera phones.
Thank goodness.
Because right now she might have had about 1 million hits on YouTube. And honestly, if I would have been there, I would have been the one recording it.
See, and Jeff said the dog had a smile on his face. Yeah, because some dogs do smile. They lift up their lips and they show their teeth. You kind of think it's aggressive, but it is not. So this dog's just going at it, and then finally the owner comes in and yells at the dog, "Stop it! Get off her! Get off her!" I am mortified at this point. My pigtail's all out and straggly. I got slobber all up in my hair. You know, luckily this is my last dog of the day. I can go home and shower. This dog didn't even buy me a box of chocolates. Not even take me to dinner. Anyway.
Again, I say I wish I would have had a camera phone and YouTube at that moment. Yeah.
You just can't make this stuff up. So the owner gets the bill. She goes out front and she pays at the register. And she comes back in. She hands me a $20 tip. I'm looking at this and I'm like, $5 is typically customary for tips. It's okay. She goes, "After what my dog did to you, I don't know if I can even bring him back after what he did, so this is the least I could do." And she, shoves the $20 bill into my smock pocket. After she left, my face was red. I yelled at everybody because nobody wanted to help. They were all laughing because no one else has seen this before. Oh my gosh. It was embarrassing then. And being a groomer, you have to have a sense of humor. If you do not have a sense of humor, you cannot do this job.
And honestly, if you can't stand the sight of poop or pee or even throw up, this is not for you at all.
Yeah, when that happens, I typically send Kristen to do it.
I had that today. I'm blow drying a dog, and it's a white dog, ironically, and I've never had this happen before. I'm blow drying it, I move to another part, and there's some white on the table, and I clean it up, realizing, the dog threw up, but it looked like fur. And I continued to blow dry, and more white on the table. It was more throw up, and it looked just like fur. It was very strange.
Yeah, come to find out, the dog got sick in cars, so it was a car ride sick.
I did not know that. This is my first time learning this myself.
The dog didn't eat anything in the morning either, so it was just whatever, acids and whatnot that was left over in the stomach that came up. If it had a discoloration or even a brown, I would talk to the owner, because sometimes the brown indicates dry blood.
Yeah.
So if it's a red, rust, or brown, I would have called the vet or the owner or something like that.
It looked like moose. I mean, it really did. It looked like white moose on the table. I've never seen that before. That was a really strange one.
So that's the funny part. Now, if you have a female dog that isn't spayed, you might want to try to be a little courteous to your groomer and not bring her in while she's in heat.
Yeah, I can definitely see this.
Two things that I can really see that would be a problem. One, the female that's in heat is, the smell the other dogs pick up. Now, the smell can drive the unneutered males bonkers, to where they're so difficult to groom, they can smell the female that was on you, and then they start licking your smock, which is creepy. How they slowly lick so they can get every ounce of stuff they can taste.
Here we go again with that creepy lick.
Yeah, slow.
Maybe I'm gonna title this episode "Creepy Lick."
And their nose start dripping a little bit.
Oh gosh.
They start salivating. So you might want to try not to bring them in for that reason too. Another reason is that it gets messy. When you get grooming and all of a sudden you see a drop of blood on your hands, you panic. Oh my gosh, did I just cut this dog? Oh my gosh. Because folks, it can happen, and every groomer's cut at least one dog in their life. So depending on the severity of it, I would hope people would understand in some sense. If it continuously happens, find yourself another groomer.
And that's really where it always comes down to.
So, when you get this drop of blood on your hands, you're checking the nails to see if you quicked them. You check any little spot to see if there's something that got cut. And the entire time you're freaking out.
Yeah, and that could be a freak out that could last 5 minutes. I mean, you're looking everywhere on the dog.
And then your mind's racing. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to tell the owner about this.
What did I do? What did I do? What did I do?
Yeah. How am I going to stop this next time? What's the owner going to say? Oh my gosh, or this dog's so sweet and I heard it. Oh my gosh.
That's the first thing that will go through your head is, oh my God, I just hurt this dog. And I've had it happen. I've only had it happen once. And it wasn't a major cut or anything. I had a cut in my very first beginning. And the first thing, and to this day, I still say I hate it, because all I could care about is, I hope that dog wasn't hurt. Even though I never heard a sound out of the dog, and the dog was fine, it was a very small little, scrape. But still, everybody who does this will say the same thing. God, I hope I didn't hurt the dog. And if they don't, they should not be in this field.
Yeah, see, the people come back to us and they understand that it happens. And since then, nothing bad's been happening. So when you bring a female in that's in heat, it gets everywhere. Groomers work so hard getting your dog clean and getting them fluffy. And when they're in heat, all that fluffy cleanness goes away. Because some females are a little heavier than others. Just, it can get bad. Some can smell. Some don't.
For our male listeners who do not know what we're talking about, I'm just going to say Google.
Right.
I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to keep this rated G. Google.
So, just try to change the actual date. Try to pattern, like dogs normally go into heat every 6 months. So if you can try to track it a little bit. Sometimes the dogs actually go into heat while you're grooming. So that could be a pain. But those are only real to reasons why I would watch out for females and heat. There's a lot more stories that can happen with male dogs that aren't neutered. I know one time one got a hold of one of my boss's arms and just went to town, just thinking it was some guy's leg.
I hope that she got more than a $20 tip.
The dog got his claws wrapped around her arm. And, yeah, my boss at the time, she was in her 60s, so she had thin skin, so she couldn't just pull the dog off. So she had to have help getting the dog's legs off her arm so it didn't rip her skin. And at the whole time, this dog's just going 90 miles an hour.
I'm really thinking I'm going to start another podcast of just all the jokes that I want to say right now, but being that I want to keep this as clean as possible, I'm just sitting here going, boy, I've got a ton right now.
My poor boss's face was 50 shades of red. I mean, she was so embarrassed.
And her arm was 50 shades of gray.
It was terrible. This Karen Terrier was just like, you're mine. But,
it will happen, and I mean, I'm waiting for the day that a dog just thinks that I'm the Pepe Le Pew of its day. I don't know why a skunk comes into play. I had nothing to reference, so bear with it. But anyway,
since we were talking about tips too, I wanted to mention this. Some people don't know, or they don't know what customary it is, but for tipping, groomers are quite like hairdressers. The only thing is that a hairdresser's client doesn't pee or poop on them.
Well, unless they're elderly.
Or really young kids, but I don't see them sitting on their lap while they're cutting their hair.
No, I don't see that either. But
I'll tell you one thing, I don't want to be cutting a little kid's hair. That would just scare me.
That would be rough. But
I gotta hand it to these hairdressers. I would much rather deal with the dog than the human.
and the difference, we're not saying that we're the same as a hairdresser, but because they do pay either for their spot or there's a lot of different chain hairdressers out there that they only make minimum wage
or even less.
So yeah, I know how that works out, but go on.
So most people, to give everyone else an idea, since I don't have you face to face with me, I didn't just groom your dog and say, hey, with my hand out, don't you owe me something a little extra? It is customary to tip. Most people tip about $5 is a pretty good average. Some are even more generous, which is amazing, and it's great. But I wouldn't tip until I see the dog, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of customers just end up giving me the tip before they see the dog. I would, myself personally, would rather have them see the dog, because if they're going to give me extra money, then I want them to give me the money because I worked hard for it and they can see it.
Right. And a misconception is just because you're paying X amount to wherever you're going, and there's many places you can go. Just because you're going someplace and you're paying, let's just say, $45, that doesn't mean that $45 is going to your groomer. Only a percentage is going to your groomer, and that's all determined by the owner of the shop, to the groomer, and to the owner. And even at that, even if you're going to the owner themselves, remember, they are still putting a lot of money out.
Exactly. When I worked for my last place, she was the owner of the shop and also groomer. She didn't get as many tips as I did because people thought, oh, well, she owns the place. She gets the full amount, so why should she get more? Well, you know what? I wish that she got more tips, because not only does she have to take that money, she has to pay her property tax, she has to pay licensing, she has to pay for the materials, shampoo, ear cleaner, nails trimmers for the bathers, wages, kennels,
drying machines,
exactly.
all kinds of substance that you have to use.
Thousands of dollars it takes to keep a salon up and running.
Oh yeah.
So if you're able to slip, a couple bucks, then, make sure that it goes to the actual groomer who does it, whether they're the owner or not. So, if I go to a restaurant and my waiter is the actual restaurant owner, I'm not going to not tip him. I want to tip him. I'm going to give him his was it 16% now?
I don't know.
20% now?
I don't know.
Oh, I based on the service.
Yeah.
But I still give him a tip, even though he's the owner of this place.
And let me say this, for anybody who's local who actually use us as their groomer, we're not talking about what we ourselves are actually seeing. This is a generic thing for everybody out there. That's what this whole podcast is about. It's about what you need to know.
Yeah, see, I saw what kind of made me mad. I'm not going to lie. This kind of made me upset. I was on this Bashan page, and they're talking about groomers, and they said, oh, well, I don't tip my groomer. They already charged me $40. And, I don't tip the owner of the salon because they get the whole amount. The owners are trying to help stimulate the economy.
Right.
These small business is what helps drive America.
Right.
And even in other countries, a private business owner really helps make everybody's economy better. So if you have the extra money and you want to do something for the groomer, then that's pretty customary. Now, if you can't afford the tip, don't worry about it.
Yeah. That's the main objective here.
I don't go out there with my hand out saying, can I get a little something off the top?
Yeah, don't you think you owe me a little bit more?
If you ever have a groomer who does that to you, you tell their manager, you tell their owner of the shop, don't ever be pressured into giving tips.
Right. You need to feel like they earn a little extra, that you're showing them more than just a thank you. I mean, a thank you is huge. We have customers that love what we're doing and different things, and trust me, that's thanks in itself. But when you're giving money, it's saying, I really appreciate it in a level of, I really appreciate what you did. And that's what it all comes down to.
I had another customer, Alex. I love Alex to death. Him and Annie are just amazing. They've been in our lives for, oh my goodness, almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
And, Alex used to give me bars of soap that he made at home. And that was great. They smelled amazing. They did great for my skin. And it just made the house smell amazing, just having the bars out. I had a customer that, gave a gift during Christmas. Or my one customer, she had 2 standard poodles that I missed terribly. Oh my gosh. But she got me this little poodle metal thing that hangs up next to our keys, and I still have it there, and I haven't groomed Henry or Sophie in a few years now, or a year and a half.
About a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I still have that. So even a nice card, I have cards that customers give me, that's fine too. I'm not a greedy groomer. There are some out there, but if they start putting their hand out there, then better watch it. I'm money grubbing.
I would even go as far as if there's signs on doors or at the counter or anything that actually alludes to you need to tip. That's definitely something you need to look at and say, maybe I don't need to be here. Because if you're telling me I have to do this, that's just saying that you feel like you deserve it, even if you don't do the job correct.
It kind of feels like, well, I'm going to make you tip me now, no matter what kind of quality comes out.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about quality control. And, this is one thing that we've both agreed, both Sarah and I agree on, and that is there is no such thing as a VIP. Every dog that comes in needs to be treated as if they are a VIP.
Yeah, they need to be treated like they give $100 tips each time.
Yeah, exactly. And that they're, some celebrity. Everybody that comes in to our shop, everybody who brings their dog in, you can guarantee one thing, and that is we will treat your dogs as if you are a celebrity. Because to us, everybody is.
And if somebody's not treating you like that, then you need to talk to somebody. I mean, at Shadowwood, that's what we do. You come in, we find out what specific needs you need to be met, we will do that.
And if you feel like you have not been, fulfilled to that need, whether it's with us or, most of you are outside of here, in other states and even other countries, if you feel that that's not being met, you need to go and tell somebody, this is not being met and I need this to be met, or I'm going elsewhere.
And see, sometimes it's a really bad day, really busy day. Like today, I got booked an extra dog and it wasn't written down. So I was slammed. But sometimes we get so busy because we're only human that we might not take the time we need. So mention it. I want a customer to let me know if I let them down in some way of not talking to them, because I want to correct it. So some people just need to know, hey, look, you need to slow down a little bit and take a deep breath.
And you know what, I've even noticed even today, I was fortunate. I left early to be with our daughter because we had such a beautiful day. But I know for a fact, because I saw
left
it.
Me at home at work, slaving away at a Cocker Spaniel.
I left her with work that I couldn't do anything of. So instead of sitting there, I actually took our daughter to the park and had a day with our daughter.
In 70-degree weather, no
Yes.
clouds in the sky,
That's
beautiful
right.
breeze.
And we had a blast.
And I was grooming a Cocker Spaniel.
But she didn't wash the Cocker Spaniel. Or dry the Cocker Spaniel. So you know what?
RBS is making this go long. I'm sorry, guys.
So you know what? Let her give you her song and dance, but you know what? Bleh, I don't care. So, anyways, folks, I want to make sure we keep this, like always, I say this at this point, I like to try to keep this right under the 35-minute mark, just because we have the final wrap-up and everything to talk about. So, we're at 32 minutes. I hope this is sounding good. Like I told you at the beginning, we're on a new device, so we're trying it out for episode 12. Hopefully it'll work. This device will be used on any kind of venture trips out to for future dog shows and stuff like that, because we lost that whole content, which still drives me nuts.
Yeah, the next dog show I'm going to be showing Chris in the non-sporting breed.
Well, you know what? I might actually win something. Hopefully the judge is blind.
Don't pee on their leg again.
Oh man, that was a bad day for me. Alright folks, well, this has probably been our most wacky episode so far, but we actually hope that you've enjoyed what we bring to our episodes for you. We're doing it always for you. As I always say, if you like what we're doing, like Lisa, thank you. You're the one that actually has come forward. Pass it on to others, because it doesn't cost anything to listen to us bicker back and forth and talk about what we're going through, and hopefully helps you.
If there's something specific you want us to talk about, even bring up the subject again and go into more depth, let us know. We're more than happy to do that. We're here to help you.
Right. And it's always the Groomer Next Door at yahoo.com. I started a blog, and I don't have the information yet because I just started it. Sarah looks at me and says, why a blog? You know what? They say cut down your carbon footprint. I say build up your digital footprint. That way there's a legacy of what you're doing. Hopefully you're doing positive things. So for me, I say this is Chris Green. Have a pup-tastic week.
And this is Sarah Green. Just want to make sure everybody knows life is short. Play with your pet.
Have a good week, everybody.